snowboards across. In sports, the men's snowboarders is held after a one-day delay due to fog. Alex Diebold of the United States earns the bronze medal in the event. He barely beats out teammate Trevor Jacob in the semifinals. The delay forces officials to modify the format and cancel the seedings run. Instead, they go straight to the elimination rounds. The conditions aren't much better today with poor snow conditions. Several riders crash and fail to finish their runs. Pierre Vontelet of France takes home the gold medal. Diebold went to Vancouver 4 years ago but did not compete. Instead, he worked as a wax technician. And a giant slalom, Schriff finishes fifth. Mays gets the crown. American teenager Michaela Schriffen just misses out on a medal in the giant slalom at the Sochi Games. The Colorado native finishes fifth in the Olympic debut, falling short of the medal by only 2 to 3 seconds. Juliana Mancuso skis out midway down the slope in her final event. Mancuso was the giant slalom champion at 2006 Turin Olympics. Tima Meza of the Slovenia wins the gold in the GS. She leads the event from start to finish to claim her second gold medal of the 2014 Olympics. And in the NBA, back to that, to offer Russell Westbrook of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Durant says teammate back on the court this week. In NBA news, Thunder star Kevin Durant says teammate Russell Westbrook will be back on the court this week. In an interview with ESPN, Durant indicated that Westbrook will return to the lineup when Oklahoma City takes on Miami Thursday night. The point guard has been out since having knee surgery in December. It was his third knee surgery since April. He was averaging 21 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds when he went down. The Thunder have a 4-game lead on San Antonio in the Western Conference. And speaking NBA and Western Conference, the All-Star Games took place also over this weekend. So much went on that we didn't get to talk to yesterday in our usual Sports Beat show, instead covering those CSI games. The All-Star Game, of course, was amazing. I slept through the entire thing. I didn't sleep for 2 days before that. My girlfriend actually watched the entire game and informed me of what went on, and Blake Griffin's sick play, that's a quote. Blake Griffin was amazing. I saw all the highlights then. I went back and watched the game. Durant obviously wanted to win the MVP for that game. He was on fire from the get-go, scored 38 points in the game in total. LeBron James early on throwing down some wicked alley-oops with his left hand and then reverse windmills behind the head off assists from your then MVP of the game, Kyrie Irving, who put on a show with masterful shooting and dribbling and getting to the lane. We also witnessed during Friday night's rookie-sophomore rising star game that the back and forth that Kyrie Irving did last year with Brandon Knight was then taken over by the New York Knicks shooting guard rookie Tim Hardaway Jr. and the shooting guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers, second-year player Dion Waiters. Back and forth of dribbling and crossovers and shooting threes from almost the half-court line. It was absolutely ridiculous. They put on such a show. So that was entertaining to watch. And then Saturday night came with a skills contest and the shooting stars and even the three-point contest, which was new and interesting this year with a whole line and rack of balls dedicated to the money shot, which was the extra 2 points for every ball you could put in. You could put that rack wherever you wanted to, and that money ball rack was then a new, piece to the festivities this year. And it was interesting, and it worked out to the advantage. The crowd enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And then the slam dunk contest came around, and they said that there was going to be some great competitors into this year. It was going to be a whole new format, interesting for the fans, and it was garbage. First off, the West started off with a team session of dunks. 3 guys running around with a clock going on, interfering with each other's dunks, trying to make corny plays that never ended up working or transpiring or turning into anything that resembled a dunk contest. After that, it was the East versus the West, one-on-one. One player from the East versus one player in the West, and that was equally as dreadful, as each player was only allotted 1 dunk, and those dunks were some of the worst I've ever seen, although I will give credit to John Wall, point guard for the Washington Wizards, who had a sick reverse pump between the legs, jumping over one of the fans who was holding the ball for him. That was a great dunk. But other than that, anyone who says the dunk contest is back, and we hear it quoted by Magic Johnson comically every year, the dunk contest is not back. It was killed. It was murdered this year. Please, oh man, please, anyone that I've spoken to who's an avid dunk contest fan, as I am, I've watched every single dunk contest that's ever taken place. And this is by far the worst one I've ever seen in my life. In my life, easily. Please bring it back to the way it used to be, and let's get some good dunkers in here. Harrison Barnes doesn't belong in a dunk contest if he's going to reference dunks from NBA 2K14 and then pull out the controller to demonstrate what the dunk looked like. That's not working for me. When Ben McLemore takes Shaquille O'Neal out and jumps over his chair in the throne, that was okay, I guess. John Wall was the most creative. He had the most entertaining dunk. But he only had one dunk. There was no clear winner. Fans had to vote on the dunker of the night, but it wasn't the real winner. There was no winner this year. It was atrocious. Whoever's running this thing, and everything's got to be modernized, and they're voting on iPads now, and there's no judges, there's no scores. That's ridiculous. I watched the NBA D-League Rising Stars dunk contest this year. That was a dunk contest. That was a show. The NBA can actually learn a thing from their developmental league structure for a dunk contest. And then, as we mentioned, the All-Star game the next night, Kyrie Irving won the MVP honors for that as well. So NBA-wise right now, we hit the 2/3 mark after the All-Star break now. A couple of trades are going to go down. I don't think anyone specifically is going to move. You still have your top-ranked teams, in the East and in the West, and it's going to be a, pretty much easy-to-decide playoff bracket going forward. You only have two elite teams in the East. You have the Indiana Pacers, and you have the Miami Heat, the defending champions, and you have the team that looks like they're ready to finally come and upset the defending champions. Seeding-wise, right now, the Pacers are in first place with 40 wins and 12 losses as their record, and the Heat only 3 games behind them, 2.5, 37 and 14 with their record. And then the Raptors come in, and they're 12 games behind, the Bulls 13, the Hawks 15, the Wizards 15, the Nets 15, the Bobcats 17. Knicks aren't even in the playoff push right now. And it's basically just the Pacers versus the Heat in the East. And then you move on to the West, and you see the Thunder, as we mentioned earlier, on top with a 43-12 record. The Spurs underneath them by 4 games. The Rockets under 6. Clippers under 6. Trailblazers under 6. It's very tight through the first 5 games. And even when you go down to the final 2 spots of the Suns and the Warriors, their records are 31-22. That's the 8th place team in the West. The last ranked, lowest seeded playoff team is 31-22. The 3rd place team underneath the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat is the Toronto Raptors with a 28-24 record, 12 games out of first. So with that being said, the worst team in the West would be one of the best teams in the East right now, in the playoff push. It's absolutely incredible. The West is so stacked compared to the East. The East only has LeBron James, and Wade holding it down for one team, and then Paul George, Hibbert, and the guys over there in Indiana holding it down for them. So like I said, going forward, the playoffs are going to be a pretty easy scenario to determine there, with the Pacers probably locking up the first seed and the Heat in the second, and then everyone else doesn't matter. They'll both advance to the finals of the East. The West gets interesting for the fact that the Warriors are now in 8th, but they could heat up any moment, and are the Suns for real with their 30-21 record in 7th place. This is a team that had their star, or who they thought was going to be a budding star, in Eric Bledsoe come in for the trade from the Clippers and sign with them. Goran Dragic has been averaging 20 points a game for them as well. With their new head coach this season, they've really been pushing that up-tempo offense, and it's working for them. The Mavericks are in 6th with the aging Dirk Nowitzki. I'm not sure they can move much further down the line. The Trailblazers were actually in 1st and 2nd place for a while. They've moved down and lost 8 out of their past 10. They're 36-17 still in the 5th place, and the Clippers and Rockets hedge up the top 3 and 4 spots, with the Spurs and Thunder again holding down the top 2 spots. So it's really anyone's game in the West. As long as Westbrook comes back healthy, as we just reported here at WSIA Staten Island 88.9 FM, the Thunder are really the favorite in the West just because of their young talent and how good Durant has been playing this year with an all-star caliber level, showing that he can lead the league in scoring every single year. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. We're going to get to another song here. This is Rashawn Maloney, one of my favorite tracks that I always throw in here for WSIA Staten Island. It is Pumped Up Kicks off his CD Wasteland. Great cover here to listen to. Easy listening. You're listening to Overtime with Shane DiMaio for WSIA Staten Island 88.9 FM.